Hi guys. Uh, Today's memory verse is 3 John 2 verse 1, which says, Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospereth. Today I'm going to tell you a story about a guy called Agbawu. Agbawu. Yeah, that's his name. The guy was just at that time he was a new Christian, just converted, and he was coming to church. Then at some point, I don't know what happened. This guy was he was a known. He does fabrication. He did fabrications for motorcycle parts, and the name Agbawu is where he got that name from, which means die together. So when he forges a part for you in your motorcycle, so it is so strong that literally you have to die together with that thing. That it lasts a very long time. So the story goes like this. Even at the time when he was in faith, the enemy came and tempted him. He was he had an ex-wife who at some point after the divorce, that the woman, traveled abroad and went to Italy. So at that time, he was doing his own fabrication work and he was just making, something decent. He wasn't begging. He was just floating. And there was a day, some people who were fraudsters, they had targeted him and he didn't know. So what they did was that they hired a very nice automobile, a vehicle that looks like the type the young boys bring from overseas. And they didn't come to his house directly. They went to an opposite house and they were asking after the man. So he saw them in the opposite house. And those people were now pointing to him that's the house you want to go to. That's the house. So they were all suited up with briefcase, with coiled hair, jerry coils that make them look like the guys who came from overseas with the earrings and all. So by the time they went to his house, they uh, introduced themselves that they were from Italy, that they came looking for him. And he was very, very, he was quite interested. And guess what? They showed him a picture of his ex-wife. And I said, do you know this woman? He now looked carefully and said, I know her. Now my ex-wife or my former wife. So he said, okay, very good. That's when was the last time you spoke with her? He said it's a very long time he has not spoken with her. Over years. And they said as well, this woman has remembered you. She's now overseas in Italy. Are you aware? He said yes, he's aware. So they now told him that they now showed him some forged papers that his ex-wife had sent him what do you call it, a commercial vehicle, like a bus, that what she wants is that she wants him to pay for the clearance and all of vehicle. I'm not too sure if it was one vehicle or if it was multiple vehicles. So, and they said that the woman bought the vehicle overseas in Italy and paid for the transportation, and they showed him what they call it, the the shipping particulars, and his name was on it. And she said that, and the guy said that the woman wanted them to give it to him just to say thank you for all the good things that he did for her before she traveled abroad. And the man was quite impressed. And he was like, she do well, she do well, she do well, she has done well, you know. And he was not saying some stories that if it wasn't her family, she wouldn't have left him, and so on and so forth. So, but the issue now was not the money they wanted from him to release the vehicle from the harbor. So that said that, okay, what you would do is that you have to give us one person to follow us to Lagos to the harbor. But this amount of money is what you need. And the vehicle was a kind of very, very new vehicle and was like expensive, you know, but it was off-road. And because it was a kind of a new vehicle, I mean, from the picture, and it was a big one, so definitely the money to clear it. And I'm not too sure if it was in a container, so it was like a lot of money. So the man he didn't have the money, and they said, okay, we are going back to Italy at this time, maybe in a few months' time, that please, you know, her family is not aware that she has done this for you, so please try and rally around for the money to pay for the fees or the tariff at the harbor, so you can have it. And they even probably showed him a guy who was going to bring the vehicle to him in the house, and it looked legit. And the guy was in his happiest moment. I was like, so he will now also be a big man now, having a commercial boss that will be raking in money every day. Because the idea was for him to give the boss to a driver who would be doing commercial activity with the vehicle and bring returns, daily returns, or what they call balancing or something like that. So the man, he told a few friends, and what he could get was not enough. So some people, out of wisdom and counseling, they advised him and said, look, you have a full plot here, which is a 100 by 100. This is a full plot. Your house is built on the half of the plot. Look, this half now, which you are using to do your fabrication, why don't you sell it, get the money, and send somebody to Lagos to go and clear the vehicle from the harbor? And when it is done, you have the vehicle with you, and you get a driver that will be making returns. So even if you don't sell it, you can actually use the half of the land to borrow money. So from the income of the vehicle, you cannot be paying back the loan which you borrowed towards the clearing of the vehicle. And I said, very good idea, good idea. So they looked for somebody, and of course, people who are in the business of lending money, they are always very ruthless. But they have the money, but if you don't pay, they come after you. And he was very sure that he will make up the money eventually to pay. And they gave him the terms and conditions. And he was like, that's good. At least when the vehicle is balancing money every day, there will be more than enough money to pay you guys your money. And they gave him the cash and made him sign some documents, which he did. So he got a trusted person in his family, a young man, and said, please, follow this gentleman to Lagos so you can go and see the vehicle, and so that they will clear it, and you will join them in driving the vehicle to me. That's the guy now. And the young man said, cool. A day was arranged with the guys. He had their phone number. He called them that he had the money. And the guys came in and they were very happy. And they gave him a date that the vehicle will be cleared. So he was literally like, very happy. And probably was telling him some of his very close friends that his life was going to change, for the better. So eventually, the young man traveled to this fraudsters to Lagos. But of course, he did not know when they were fraudsters. He thought that it was something good that was coming. And they did a very clean job by the documents they showed him, the car pictures. They even did probably a video of the vehicle even before it was shipped. Probably they had syndicates abroad that they would collaborate with. So, but the woman was not in the picture because they made it look like the woman did not want to show herself, because the woman does not want her family to know that this is what she has done for him. That if they know, they will really be very, very upset with her. So, and he understood that, and said, well, that's very good. And probably they would have, dubbed somebody's voice that would sound like the woman, a recorded version of it, and probably play it to him. And he was like, okay, now the voice has slightly changed, but I believe because she's abroad now, she has a deep voice because of all the good life, So, long story short, they went to the harbor together. And what this guy did was very simple, because they are fraudsters, they know how to do their things. The young man who was sent with them, he doesn't know anything about clearing of vehicles. They just took him to Tinkan, and one of those commercial offices there where they do photocopy like a business center. They asked him to sit down, and they took the money off him and said they were coming, that they want to go and discuss with the customs, and they will bring the vehicle out for him to see and all. And everything still looked legitimate, So the boys took the money and they disappeared. So the young man waited. He waited and waited and waited and waited. This time it was already getting to closing time. So the owners of the business center now says, my brother, how are you? He said, fine. Your friends, haven't they come back? He said, no, that they asked him to wait. That they want to go and clear the vehicle. That they are taking the money already. And the staff now said, I'm sorry, we are closing. We can't leave you here inside the shop. You might have to wait outside. So, the guy said, And I said, do you know those boys? And I said, no, not really. It is his brother in Benin that asked them to come with him because the ex-wife brought a car for him. So he gave them the money to come and clear the car. So he was asked to be around so that he can escort, he can follow the vehicle to Benin. And the woman, I was like, you don't know them before. How do you know they are from abroad? He now said they are from abroad. Because he himself was very sure that his brother was right about them and all. So eventually, after much discussions, it was already getting to night time, and these guys were nowhere to be seen. So, and back in the days, it wasn't a time when you had mobile phones. So I'm not too sure. Okay, I think that was the early stage. So there was mobile phone, but it was not everybody that had mobile phones then. So the man said, please look for a way to get to your brother and tell him that the guys didn't come. Now look for a way to communicate with your brother in Benin. And I said that, bros, I'm staying in Lagos, so these guys, they asked me to sit down somewhere in the business center. And they took the money off me you gave me to go and clear the vehicle. And they have never come back since. It's already night time. The guy was not even sure if he had any money with him to sleep or to eat. So some kind-hearted people probably gave him some money to eat and all. So the next day, they had to beg for money and all. And probably he will get a driver that will drive him to Benin. And when he gets to Benin, his family or the uncle would pay the driver. So that was how they knew it was fraudsters that came to meet him. So, and by this time, nobody was seen again. The fraudsters, the address they gave, the telephone number, everything, none was going anymore. So it was fraud. So as funny as it would be, the boy got back to Benin and they were all in a limbo. One, the money he borrowed from the money lenders with the interest that was already there. The whole money stolen, and he was all by himself. Overnight, this man, the hair on his head went gray overnight because of his stress of what had just happened. This was in millions, and probably the man was not owing anybody before. He was doing his business, fabricating stuff, and they were paying him commercial motorcycles. They use it for transports. So he was not poor as per poor like that. But this time around now, he was really in a big mess because the money he borrowed from the money lenders was beginning to accrue. So that was how it went, and eventually the story went everywhere. And the money lenders now came to him and said, "We heard what happened. We're very sorry, but is there any way you can pay us our money back?" So the reason why I know this thing, because my late dad was involved in the negotiations, to look for a peaceful way to get him out of trouble. So eventually there was a big issue. He couldn't pay. The money lenders were threatening to seize his only house, and then he wouldn't even have a place to sleep. So my father, being that he was an ex-police officer, and then we're in the same church, so they now intervened, now begged the money lenders and said, "Okay, listen," my father, they now gave him an idea. Said, "Look, the issue now is that since the money you borrowed from them was borrowed, so it is not as high as if you would sell the land. So the best thing is this: why don't you sell your main house, and with the money build like a boys' quarter in the other half of the land, so you can put your head and stay out of trouble, and use the front part of it and leave it as your fabrication business." So it sounded like a way out. So eventually this man now put the house for sale, and of course they got a buyer because it was in a good area, a very busy area. So he now sold it to one of these people who live overseas, and from that money he now quickly built a kind of a boys' quarter, a small one. And before, he had a big house where he rented some room out. But this time now, because they were trying to make it as peaceful as everything would be for him to just have a place to put his head, so they built like a few rooms, which is like a big queue at the back of the other half of the land. And he now moved there and now continued with his fabrication. But of course, it was not an easy thing, The man he wasn't happy. And And so there he began to live his life there, and the other people came who bought the house, the main house, and they took over the house, and they fenced it off to demarcate the half land where he's now staying, and the house is sold. So that was it. But even though the man was still kind of in church, but in his mind he was not happy. And I heard that, this is what I heard, that the man, that he does not want to use his ears to hear that a thief had been caught or a fraudster. That even if the thief was caught, like maybe as long as it was enough for him to go there, even if he gets there in the evening and they still have the thief in their possession, he would at least give the thief a big slap or hit him with a huge object. And you say a thief is a thief. He didn't bother if he was a Christian. So for him, there was no forgiveness in this because they have depleted his life, all his achievements he has made in his life. The death is a big blow to him. So that's the story of this man called Agbawu, and I just thought about it recently and said, this man, this story, I have to let my people know about this story. So that is how Mr. Agbawu will continue his life, and I pray that all goes well with him wherever he is now, and I pray he recovers. But we have to be careful. So we have to be careful, so when people come to us, or when things come to us, and on the surface, or even in depth, it feels good, we have to be careful. We have to pray about things, because I believe if he had prayed about it, maybe God would have showed him in a dream or something, or somebody around him, that these guys are not real. There's one thing I love about the story of Abraham, when he wanted a wife for his son Isaac. So as the young man traveled to his place, because he wanted a wife to be chosen for Isaac from his own place or origin, or kinsman, or his place where he already had origin. So the young servant has prayed to God that, Lord, please help this trip so that I can get a wife for my master's son, Abraham. And he now asked God for this, that let this woman that I will see, let her do this, let her do that, probably like fetch water or something like that for me and for the camels and all. That if that person comes and does the same XYZ, then that probably will be the person you have chosen for my master Abraham. But what I love about that story in the Bible is that you said, even when the woman came and did those things which he had prayed to God, that let this woman, be a person that would do all these things, that would really make me believe that she's the one you have chosen for Isaac. But the Bible said the man, he will still look carefully, even after she has fulfilled those things, because he didn't want to make mistakes. That is what a wise person should do. So you want something, just like in Africa, when women would want to buy stuff, they want to buy yam or corn. The corn or the yam might look pretty, from the outward, but you see, they will knock on it. They will check all the corners to make sure there is no contour, there is no rot somewhere. Same thing with corn. But if you just go and you look at one part of it, we say, oh, this thing looks good. You pay, you buy. It's gone. Nobody will take the money back. So for me, I always believe that whatever you want to do, no matter even when the thing looks legit, but always be careful to look carefully, because it might just make the difference between you getting duped or defrauded or scammed. So these are the things that we should do in life. It's just the same thing. The woman, you met a woman at night, and she looks very pretty because of all the lights in the street or so, and you do not even say, let me wait in the morning to see how she looks. And you go in with her and she gets pregnant. By the time you see her again, she comes to you with the pregnancy. And you are saying, I don't know. But you have already roped yourself in. So these are for those who are unbelievers. So you see, like I said, it is very important to always, God, the word wisdom, it's free for us. That is what God has given us. So use it. It's for a reason. Many people have gotten their hands burnt, like this man now who lost a lot of money and was even in debt because of not applying the right things. If the man, for example, has sent somebody, to go and check with the ex-wife's family, or any way he would have done it to see if those things were real, or if he says, oh, okay, since the woman cannot really come, can you ask her to, there would have been something when they were together, which only two of them will know. Or can you say, oh, when you were with me as a wife, can you please tell me that one thing that I always like that you cook for me? Or can you tell me that one thing which I always do that you say that you loved about me? Or something like that. So if such a thing, those boys won't have been able to know because they were fraudsters. So at that time, he would have known. But because he saw the gains, that now I'm going to be a big guy, I'm going to have lovely commercial vehicles that will be bringing money and all. And he went and got himself into a trap. And then the enemy came and screwed him. So that's a life lesson everybody should learn. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Bye.